Hello and welcome. I'm Patricia O Reilly with another edition of Out of Ireland, your weekly half hour of news, views and entertainment from both sides of the Atlantic. Coming up on this week's programme.
Now, how about a slushie?
A slushie.
Hollywood came knocking for one lucky Irishman. Now sales at his small company in County Waterford are soaring. But first, for the week's news from Ireland, over to RTE, Ireland's national broadcasting service.
In the north, the review of the Good Friday Agreement was formally launched in Stormont today, with the DUP sitting at the talks table with Sinn Féin.
There's a new player on the North's political stage. He's Mitchell Rees, who replaces Richard Haas as the Bush administration's key advisor on the North.
I am looking forward to talking with a wide variety of individuals involved in the political process here, to listen and to learn as much as I can.
He has arrived just in time to observe the political theatre at the Long Gallery in Stormont. The North's political parties a review of the Good Friday Agreement, at discussions chaired by the Northern Secretary and the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Most attention will be on the DUP. Now that Ian Paisley's party has started talking to the Irish government, might it consider the ultimate step, a deal with Sinn Féin? In 2004, might the DUP get into meaningful negotiations with Gerry Adams, like David Trimble did before their talks hit the rocks in October? Brian Cowan, who will co-chair these talks with the Northern Secretary, delivered a blunt message. The fundamentals of the Good Friday Agreement must remain in place. This review is solely about how that agreement operates. That Cowan statement will comfort the SDLP, staunch supporters of the agreement who suffered in the Assembly elections. It will be noted too by Sinn Féin. How they approach these talks will be studied by voters south and north. Their Dublin Euro candidate was today once more by her leader's side. The UUP are now playing second fiddle to the DUP. But David Trimble hasn't lost his capacity for spelling out where he believes the fundamental political problem lies.
The problem is the failure of Republicans to decommission and to wind up the private army. That is the real problem.
Then inside the Long Gallery, another small piece of history. The DUP sitting down at the same table as Sinn Féin. Martin McGuinness taking a long, hard look at what have been traditional adversaries. But will Sinn Féin talk to Ian Paisley, as they negotiated with David Trimble last year?
I presume if he is asked that question, he will say no. Our response, of course, is yes. It's positive. We want to be dealing with everyone here, and we respect the mandates of all of the parties here.
These meetings are about is to find a way whereby we can have a government of Northern Ireland that is firmly on a democratic basis.
So what's the assessment of Dr. Paisley? Well, he'll be tempted to negotiate only if there's a deal on the IRA that he can sell to his supporters as a victory. Tommy Gorman, RTE News, Belfast.
The end of a major political career was confirmed today when John Hume, the former SDLP leader, announced that he would stand down as a Euro MP in June and that he won't contest the next Westminster elections. Tonight, the Taoiseach said all the people of this island owed John Hume an enormous debt of gratitude.
A big day and a sad day for the SDLP.
I am making for what for myself today is a very regrettable announcement. I will not be standing again for the European Parliament.
On medical advice, he's not just retiring from Europe, he will also step down from Westminster at next year's elections. There was a hint of the old Hume fire in this parting shot to the North's politicians.
My message to what's now called the largest party in Northern Ireland, the Democratic Unionist Party, the time has come to prove that the word democratic in your name means what it says. Implement the will of the people. The last 30 years.
Now the SDLP must try to replace Hume and the generation of quality politicians who stood with him. He was a political superstar. The Europeans loved him. He embodied the spirit of the EU's founding fathers, Schuman and Monnet. The Americans admired him too, a quality orator with street credibility. In the 60s, he confronted sectarianism as a leading figure in the civil rights movement. Republicans attacked his home. They bombed the town he loved so well, but Hume brought them in from the political cold. When he shared the Nobel Prize, he gave his portion of the prize money to charity. Time may show that he damaged his party by making peace his absolute priority. But nobody can argue that John Hume saved lives. Many lives. Tommy Gorman, RTE News, Belfast.
The victim of last night's suspected gangland killing in Dublin has been named by Gardaí as 30-year-old Kenneth Byrne from St Teresa's Gardens in the city's south inner city. He was shot in the head and chest by a lone gunman at his home at 11:30.
The first gangland murder of 2004. The bullet holes clearly visible in the window pane of the front door of the victim's flat in St Teresa's Gardens, South Dublin. 30-year-old Kenneth Byrne was targeted last night by a hitman who coldly and clinically came to kill him.
He parked the bike on the ground floor. He ascended 2 flights of stairs. He targeted one particular flat. He knocked on the door. The victim answered the door, but he didn't come out. The gunman then discharged a number of shots through the glass panel of the door, fatally injuring the victim.
Soon after the shooting, detectives recovered the handgun which they believe the killer used. It was found on Clarence Mangan Road, around half a mile from the scene, and Gardaí believe the killer may have dropped it when he fell off the motorbike, making his escape.
I think we're living in Little Chicago.
In St Teresa's Gardens, neighbours were shocked at the brutality of the crime and angry that CCTV cameras there don't seem to protect them.
It's sick to know, you know what I mean, that you're living in flats and anything can happen. I wonder what the story is with the cameras, like, are they even working? You know what I mean?
Kenneth Byrne was a chronic heroin addict with over 40 convictions, but is perhaps best known for being part of a gang that robbed banks and post offices in Dublin and the Midlands, using umbrellas to hide their faces from security cameras. Drugs and vigilantism are being examined as possible motives for his murder. 2 weeks ago today, he was released from a 10-year sentence after less than 4 years. Gardaí say that if he had served at least half the time he should have in jail, he'd probably be alive today. Paul Reynolds, RTE News, Dublin.
The era of road signs in miles is coming to an end. From September, all distances and speeds on roads and motorways will go metric. The Minister for Transport, Seamus Brennan, says he will designate a date when the changeover will take place. The scheme will also include a reduction in the speed permitted on some country roads.
Seamus Brennan says he intends to pick a date in September when all road signs will be shown in kilometres rather than miles. An information campaign will be put in place to help motorists cope with the new system. From September, the speed limit on many country roads will be reduced from 60 miles an hour to 50, or under the new scheme, 80 kilometres an hour. On motorways, the speed limit will change from 60 miles an hour to 100 kilometres an hour. All of the changes are in the interest of road safety.
There's a whole lot of stretches of roads around the country that are actually too low in many cases. I mean, they're beautiful new roads and the speed limits are somewhat low on them. They can probably go up a little bit as well. In fact, it might be safer. But overall, we will use the metrication issue to revise the speed limits generally.
The Minister and the National Roads Authority were announcing a major expansion of the National Roads programme, which over the next 5 years has a guaranteed budget of €8 million. 17 new schemes will be started this year, including bypasses for Dundalk, Ashbourne, Ennis. It also includes an inner relief road for Sligo, aimed at relieving traffic flow within the town.
We're very excited, and most of the road projects are actually coming in ahead of schedule, which makes it even better. We're hoping this year, the big one, is that Monasterevin will open at the end of the year, which is not due until next year. So we're very pleased with that. So things are moving fast.
All of the new schemes are expected to be completed by the end of 2007. Eileen Whelan, RTE News.
The Minister for Justice, Michael McDowell, has published new legislation allowing him to close Mountjoy Jail and to move the prison to another site.
The Minister for Justice says he has inspected conditions at Mountjoy Jail and had come to the view that it falls so far short of the requirements of a modern prison that replacement rather than refurbishment of the existing facilities was the best way forward. He said he was also influenced by the consistent criticism of the facilities by a committee of the Council of Europe and other organisations concerned with the welfare of prisoners.
The planning is now starting. We're identifying sites. What we propose to do is to build a state-of-the-art modern prison facility on the outskirts of Dublin, and one which will be far better from the point of view of prisoners, staff and the public purse in terms of the economy of running it.
Parts of Mountjoy prison date back to 1850 and the jail has housed some of Ireland's most notorious prisoners. But conditions here have been described as appalling. Many cells do not have toilet facilities and prisoners have to slop out on a daily basis. Tonight, the Prison Officers Association criticised the decision. They favour the refurbishment of the existing site and say building a new prison on the outskirts of Dublin makes no sense. Eileen Whelan, RTE News.
Following a day of negotiations, it's been agreed that the Irish soccer team will start and finish their bid to qualify for the 2006 World Cup with home matches. Their opening game will be against Cyprus on September the 4th, while their final match will be at home to Switzerland in October 2005.
The road to Germany in the battle for World Cup qualification in 2006 began here in Dublin today when each of Ireland's group opponents met to negotiate fixtures and venues. A fairly simple task, you might have thought. Well, think again. This first challenge of the World Cup 2006 was deadlocked in normal time. Issues to cloud the day included Israel's revelation that they couldn't play on the 12th of October 2005 because of Yom Kippur, the Jewish religious holiday or Day of Atonement. The Faroe Islands had problems with certain dates because of inclement weather conditions, and France were committed to the Confederations Cup in June. In the end, it took over 10 hours and extra time to get a result. Ireland at one stage were accused of intransigence by the top seeds in the group, France.
We made three propositions to arrange to find a compromise, but every time, it's not possible for us, no, go.
Other group opponents seemed to confirm that view.
The French delegation, when they left, they were saying that the Irish were particularly inflexible.
You can say that, yeah.
It was really hard to negotiate, and I think nobody is happy, but I think it's okay.
But the Irish delegation deemed themselves pleased with the outcome of the day's negotiation.
I know Brian and the players are really looking forward to the campaign. And as I said, the key thing that they wanted was a home match to start. And I think we're all looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll be qualifying for Germany in 2006.
So the campaign begins with a home game against Cyprus on the 4th of September. 4 days later, Ireland travel to Switzerland. Ireland play France in Paris in October, and 11 months later, France come to Dublin. The final game of the qualifying campaign will once again be against Switzerland, this time at home. So the route to the World Cup 2006 is mapped. Tony O'Donoghue, RTE News.
The former football star George Best has been banned from driving for 20 months and fined £1,500 after pleading guilty at a court in London to drink driving. Best, who's 57, had a blood alcohol reading which was 2.5 times the legal limit when he was stopped by police in the southwest of the city last week. The court was told that he was trying to drive himself to a health farm after having a row with his son. The Lord Mayor of Dublin, Royston Brady, has said he deeply regrets calling his fellow councillors clowns, a waste of space and pathetic last week. In a retraction he told a meeting of Dublin City Council he made injudicious and intemperate remarks because of what he believed was malicious bad-mouthing about his wedding. His apologies were accepted. Dublin is to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Bloomsday, June the 16th, 1904, with a 5-month-long festival. The Rejoice Dublin 2004 festival, announced by Archbishop John O'Donoghue this evening, starts in April and will incorporate more than 50 events. Among the highlights is a Bloomsday breakfast on the 13th of June when 10,000 Dubliners and visitors are expected to celebrate in O'Connell Street.
It was indeed a County Clare man who this evening talked his way into the record books. Anthony Galvin smashed the world record for the longest public lecture after speaking for over 62 hours.
You know what it's like inside in prison. Of course, we think we know.
With just under 3 hours to go, Anthony still wasn't lost for words. Since 7 a.m. on Monday, he's been talking round the clock, delivering an unscripted lecture on the magic of the imagination. So far, he's covered topics as diverse as the hemoglobin of lungfish, the Antarctic, and hypnotism. He's had to speak before an audience at all times and was allowed a 15-minute break every 8 hours, during which he stocked up on carrot juice, coffee, the occasional Red Bull, and, not surprisingly, throat spray.
He had a few very difficult stages, particularly kind of 4 or 5 in the morning, when that's the natural time for the body to slow down. And I heard from somebody, one of the Toastmasters who was monitoring him this morning, that he was semi-delirious, but he actually still managed to speak despite that.
In the last 15 minutes, his tonsils finally got a rest after he broke the world record after speaking a record 62.5 hours. John O'Driscoll, RTE News.
The news from Ireland was, as usual, brought to you by RTE, Ireland's national broadcasting service. And now we meet a very lucky Irishman, Mick Daniels, whose company got free publicity worth millions of dollars when a big Hollywood studio used their products in the sequel to the film Dumb and Dumber.
And who was Benjamin Franklin again? He's a pilgrim who used penicillin to kill Godzilla. Right. How'd you get so smart? Public school. Yeah, and when you live in the basement, you breathe in a lot of chalk dust. It writes all the answers all over your brain. You're so lucky. Ooh. Now, how about a slushie?
The wacky humour of the Dumb and Dumber prequel was a big hit with audiences when it was released last year.
That's right, Harry. And this is a frozen delicious treat he was named after.
When the two main characters in the movie develop a taste for an icy soft drink, it was also a big windfall for a small Irish company called Slushie. The Waterford-based company is owned by Mick Daniels.
Hello. On the 5th of November 2002, I was sitting at home one evening watching TV. My telephone rang and I answered. A man with an American accent introduced himself as Joshua Ravitch from New Line Cinema in Hollywood, the producers of Lord of the Rings and Austin Powers. He went on to then ask for the number of our American office. I explained to him that we were just a small Irish company and we only did business in Ireland. He then asked if we could supply our Slushie products to a new movie they were making. The movie was called Dumb and Dumberer. He said that he would need a specific list of items and he would email them to me. I thought that this was a joke. I thought this was one of my friends playing a joke on me, so I immediately agreed, yes, anything you need is not a problem. We will do whatever you wish. I will go over there myself next week and be there to make sure everything runs smoothly for you. He then said goodbye to me and I received his email shortly after that. It had the names of people in the art department on the movie in Atlanta. I called those numbers. Those people were expecting my calls. They said, oh yeah, you're the Slushie guy. And we discussed what they required. When I put the phone down, I thought, oh my God, this is genuine. What have I gotten myself into? A long list of items prepared and shipped from our own premises. A lot of late nights in the office and a lot of calls to be made to the USA. But it all came together in the end. Everything was shipped and I travelled there myself on the following Sunday. On the Monday morning, I arrived on the sound stage and it was an incredible experience to be there and to see how the whole thing worked. It was nerve-wracking to be there looking at my machines and wondering and hoping that nothing would go wrong and that everything would run smoothly for them. I could see how important it was that there were no delays to the production. It was emotional, it was exciting to be there and to see all this happening.
Drink it, Harry. Come on, buddy. Drink, drink, drink. Go, Harry, go. Woo-hoo! Ow. Refreshing. So what do you want to do today, Harry?
The power of product placement in a movie has long been recognised. Jerry Maguire had Reebok. Austin Powers did it for Starbucks coffee. It usually involves a contractual agreement with the company paying millions of dollars to the movie producers.
You're so good. I can't feel my face. Didn't hurt. Didn't hurt. I felt that. Harry, my mouth is frozen. I can't feel my lips.
Slushy flouted the conventions of product placement. It didn't pay to feature in Dumb and Dumberer, but the exposure has paid off big time. Since the release of the movie last year, sales have soared, the workforce has doubled, and they are now set to expand into Britain, Europe and the US.
I was surprised in Atlanta to see the extent of the scenes that were used with slushy in them. They spoke the word slushy, the characters were drinking the product. It took a whole week to film the slushy scenes. At one point, the director turned around to me and said, "How do you like the commercial I'm making for you, Mick?"
Ooh, they still have my two favorite flavors, cherry and green. Yeah.
Oh, hey, fellas. You want some of this? Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be good.
It was extraordinary to see that we ended up with almost 7 minutes of scenes in this movie. I learned later that companies pay millions of dollars for product placement in movies, and here we got all this wonderful publicity for free. The effect on our business has been amazing. We increased our business in Ireland, for example, by 67% in July, the month after the movie was released. It has opened my eyes to the value of a website and the fact that the internet and a website is your shop window to the world.
That looks so tasty. Oh, God, I want that. He's mixing them.
Oh, it's gonna taste so good. I was right. It's really good.
Oh, I want one. We can't go in there, we'll be it. You're right. We can't. Come here. Hey, little buddy. Hey, how you doing? Hey, you want to make $2? Sure. Yeah? Okay. All you gotta do is go in there and get us 2 slushies.
Okay.
Okay, as in we got a deal?
Yeah, deal.
Oh, ice, ice, baby.
Mick Daniels there. And I think we can expect to see his slushy machines in action here in the US in the near future. Well, that's it for another week here on Out of Ireland. Don't forget to join us at the same time next week. And remember, if you'd like more information, you can always log into our website at outofirelandtv.com. But for now, from all of us here, I'm Patricia O Reilly. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.
Out of Ireland is brought to you in part by Boys Hope, Girls Hope, which helps children at risk to realise their potential by providing value-centred family-like homes and quality education. And by Beaumont Hospital International Foundation, supporting the work of Beaumont Hospital Dublin, one of Ireland's foremost healthcare and medical research institutions.
WLIW 21's broadcast of this program is made possible by the O'Sullivan Children Foundation, working for a better future for America's children.